Alright, so this is week 15 of Sloth Game Update. I'm going to try to get through all the updates pretty quickly, but there's quite a few this week, and they're mostly polishing related. Let me go ahead and get to the first one. The first one is the Mandrake update. So now there is a real world Mandrake to match the 8-bit world Mandrake, and the reason why I did this was, one, I think it contextually makes sense, and two, I want the final Mandrake to be the real world Mandrake that you fight, and that'll be the final boss. Let me just hit him, and once you hit him, you'll notice that you actually change. The second big update was the portal effect. Previously, it was just like a line going across with a little static effect. Now it's this wave feature, which I think is more graphically better looking. And actually, this is pretty interesting because the portal itself lives I guess what I should say is the water effect from the portal lives on a rectangular block. And no matter what, I could not change that block to be something other than a rectangle. Probably because of how the shader works in the background, which I didn't program the shader. And so the way you have to animate it is you have to add a sprite mask. And the sprite mask basically allows you to show everything inside the mask or show everything outside the mask. And so I show everything inside the mask, and the sprite mask has one frame of the wave, and then you have to animate in my case 8 frames so that it gives a ripple effect. And then to get the red line at the bottom, you have to make another animation and place it on top of the water effect, and then you have to sync up the 2 animations so that for every frame that you move the sprite mask, that you're also moving the outline frame. And because of how the water effect works, the alternative flipped universe follows my camera. It's not across the whole level. I can show you probably if I pause it. That where that red line is goes from there to there is the full width of the effect. So in order for it to look like it's actually spanning the full level, you have to speed up and slow down the ripple effect. And that's also why it's kind of fast. It's because my character, what I've noticed is the camera maxes out at -20 or 20 frames or 20 units of velocity per second. So the wave needs to move more than that so that when I run to the left, it actually continues to move to the left. I mean, I can always program it so that it doesn't, that it corrects for both directions. I don't know how to say this, but that if you were to outrun it to the left, it would look like the wave was going to the right, but I didn't want to play with that yet. So right now I just have the wave ripple effect moving at 20 frames, and then you can never outrun the speed of the wave, which you can see here. So it always will look like it's moving. Okay, the next thing I did was the camera confiner, or the camera controller I should say. The camera controller biases the player based on the direction of movement. So what I mean by that is, if you're the 8-bit sloth, you'll notice that it's he's in the middle of the screen right now. Now you can look up and it'll go back down when you release, and you look down and it'll go back up when you release. But you're never, you don't ever have to push the button to make it latch to the direction of travel you want to see. And that's more important for the normal sloth. So when I'm on the ground, it looks up. When you're crawling, it's towards the middle. And when you're in the tree hanging, it's looking down. And you can also look up if you want to. And if you're on the ground, you can look down. I think this is a little bit more intuitive. It will allow the player to look down if they want to see something, but the camera will always intuitively look where you would think it would look. I updated the final boss, or the final animation a bit too, so you'll notice now it's the real Mandrake, which is important because, again, I want the real Mandrake to be the final boss. Let me go to the last level, and I can show you a few of the things here too. I updated the final, the bear to have more sounds, and they're kind of nuanced, but I think I didn't have the running sound last week, which I added this week. don't even have to go to the upper level if I don't want to. Here. So the main thing that I changed here is how this final sequence is done. Level 9 is going to be when you actually rescue the koala. So I'm going to hit the koala. It's going to pop, and there's like a earthquake effect. And so the earthquake effect is basically the Mandrake doing that. And I want to add next week falling rocks, and level 10 will be like an escape the castle level, where there's falling rocks and you have to get out of the castle. And the koala will be on your back at that point, so I'm going to go ahead and update the model for that, just for the sloth, so the koala rides the sloth. The next thing too that I need to work on is, well, that's pretty much it. I mean, I just want to keep working on the levels, and there's only 10, 11, 12, 13, so there's four main levels left, and then a boss. So I'm thinking castle escape, cave 2, maybe cave / jungle, and then jungle, and then final boss, which I think makes the most sense. The other thing that I was kind of focusing on this week, trying to figure out, is how I want to market the game and the monetization structure. So for mobile games, which is what I'm kind of aiming for, I kind of like thought of a couple of ways you can do it. You can go pure advertisement. You can go advertisement with paid removal of ads. You can do full paid, and you can do demo first levels and then paid. I think because it's my first big project, I think I just want to go full paid, just to not have to deal with setting up ads and everything. But also because if you look at the data, ads will basically get you $5 per 1,000 engagements. And so even if you were to have 20 engagements, like somebody watches 20 ads before they finish the game, you're basically looking at 50 people playing to equal 2 people buying, which may actually not be that far off of what you can achieve, but I don't know. I don't really like advertising games, and I'd rather have it paid, and I think I can set it up so that people are interested in the game even if it's paid. We'll see. That's probably going to change just over time as I start to understand the limitations better. I also think that it's probably smart to just release it on Android and Apple and just take the extra weeks to try to make that work. And maybe set up a Steam page, and if the Steam page gets a certain amount of wish lists, then go ahead and develop a Steam version, which wouldn't be that challenging actually, because I've actually set up a lot of the controls to be easily updated. The only main thing with that is you'd have to do controller setup and some interface changes. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. So